I was a joke, the man they whispered and giggled like schoolgirls about when he left the room. The curiosity banished to a back office in the middle of nowhere, out of mind, and especially out of sight. And yet here I was, daring to propose the renewal of one of the most controversial military projects the world has ever seen. Oh, of course, even those fools realized the possibilities of using mutantkind for mankind's benefit. But to actually do it, to actually bring back the Weapon X program, and the architect of this all, the one who would finally make it work where so many others had failed before, was me of all people. So now, as we prepare to embark on the next phase of our project, I cannot help but wonder, who's the joke now?
If you don't know this guy, then I guess you're in for a treat today. Welcome guys. Today we are going to take a deep dive into the story of one of the biggest foes mutants as a whole have ever faced in the X-Men universe. So, without wasting any time, let's get into it. It was a dark and cold night in Canada. As usual, Malcom Colcord, our main character here, was on guard duty for a dodgy government program. The name of the program, Weapon X, their aim, to experiment on mutants to create biological weapons for the government. That day turned out to be one of the worst days in Malcom's life. Unfortunately for him, Wolverine, who was one of the mutants held up in that facility, escaped. Being the animal we all know him to be, Wolverine did not make his escape quietly. He killed a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. He killed a lot of guards, doctors, in fact, any random person he set his eyes upon that night, he probably killed them while making his escape. Unfortunately for Malcom, he found himself in a deadly encounter with Wolverine during the rampage. Without a moment's hesitation, Wolverine unleashes his claws, tearing him apart ferociously. That night became a defining moment in Malcom's life, as his animosity to mutants was ignited. After just barely surviving the encounter with Wolverine, Malcom's wife left him because of the scars on his face, which left him unrecognizable. Malcom, just like most of us, never forgot about that incident with Wolverine. Now obsessed with mutants, he worked his way up the ranks till he was actually powerful enough to restart the Weapon X program. He initially recruited the likes of Sabretooth, Garrison King, Copycat, and Brent Jackson of the S.H.I.E.L.D. as his right-hand man for the program. Using implants, Malcom gains control of Wolverine's mind. He controls Wolverine to kill a US senator, which he does. But immediately after the incident, Wolverine gains back control and escapes. I think so. This is because the implants Malcom used were meant for a single use only. Malcom later on brought in Deadpool to be part of the Weapon X team. But when Deadpool realizes that Copycat, his ex-girlfriend, who was secretly one of their targets, was killed by Malcom, he tried avenging her. But unfortunately for Deadpool, he also got killed in the process by Malcom, although we know he probably regenerates back and comes to life later on into the story. Realizing his failure in keeping Wolverine as a long-term member of the Weapon X team, and the death of Copycat and Deadpool, Colcord later on recruits Wildchild, Sauron, Mesmero, Aurora, Maru, Washout, Agent Zero, and Madison Jeffries. With the help of Madison Jeffries, Colcord built a mutant concentration camp known as Neverland. Jeffries later on goes about building sentries, or what we know as Sentinels, with one of those Sentinels gaining autonomy and finally becoming the villain we all know as Master Mold. A video to that will be left in the description below. And before we move on, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share. It helps out the channel a lot. So, using some of the Weapon X agents, Malcom kidnapped mutants from their homes at night and imprisoned them at Neverland, where they were eventually separated into two groups, the useful and the useless. The useless were disposed of, while the useful either joined the Weapon X program as agents or suffer painful experiments to extract their powers. Malcom later on falls in love with one of his mutant agents, Aurora. She convinces him to get facial surgery as a way to heal from the trauma caused during the incident by Wolverine, which he accepts, and for a while, they lived happily together. Malcom's right-hand man, Brent Jackson, points out the hypocrisy in his affair with Aurora and slyly calls him a mutant lover. This leaves Malcom troubled and causes him to lash out violently at Aurora. Jackson uses this moment as a chance to take over the Weapon X program from Colcord without him knowing. He convinces the likes of Sauron, Wildchild, Marrow, Washout, and Cable with his underground crew to kick out Colcord from the Weapon X program. But Jackson later on betrays Cable and erases his mind. This is because all along, Cable's main goal has been to destroy the Weapon X program as a whole, which was against Jackson's wishes. Frustrated with himself after being kicked out of the Weapon X program, Colcord destroys his face again. With the help of Jeffries and Aurora, he escapes the battle. However, Aurora turns against him by leaving him stranded in the middle of nowhere with Jeffries. Colcord and Jeffries manage to find refuge inside an abandoned Weapon X bunker. Jeffries, using his genius mind, immediately starts working on new models of Sentinels, while Colcord goes into a bull-fueled despair due to his losses. During this time, Colcord is haunted by visions of Wolverine. In the visions, Wolverine gives him advice and motivates him on how to take back the Weapon X program. Gaining back his motivation, Colcord orders Jeffries to build him an army of Sentinels. With this Sentinel, he was capable of taking back the Weapon X program, even going as far as killing all of the X-Men, excluding Wolverine. All this occurred in the Weapon X Days of Future Now timeline. So I guess that's it. That's the full story of the man we now know as Malcom Colcord. If you want to take an in-depth look into his background, I'll advise you to start with the Weapon X comic books, then move on to the Weapon X Days of Future Now series, which concludes everything from the Weapon X comic books. Thank you once more for watching the video. Leave a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. See you next time.